My mom was very, very pretty girl, and they told her that if she did not fit on the back of the Volkswagen that night, if she did not make herself fit there that night, she was gonna sleep with a coyote. Basically, the coyote was gonna rape her. She was next on line.
Coming from a family broken apart due to immigration, Evelyn Jones experienced a stressful reunion. Now she wants to speak out and let people know the importance of remaining by your child's side.
When I met my mom, I was like 7.5. I remember my grandma being by the door and everybody waving. And I didn't know that it was gonna be, the last time that I saw them for like 10 years.
So many families choose to immigrate to the U.S. this way, but is the sacrifice worth it? Keep on watching to see Evelyn on today's Impactful Latinos.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Now, for those who might not know you, you're an event organizer, but also a fundraiser delegate.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background, where you're from?
Well, I grew up in Santa Ana, in a small little town of El Salvador. And I always thought my abuela, my grandma, was my mom. So I grew up very happy. I grew up, even though we did not have a TV or a refrigerator, or we didn't have tile on the floor, I was very happy. I felt loved by my grandma. And I was taken away from that. And I think it's important that we tell the viewers, that we tell people right now that are separating their children from their parents, that are coming here to the United States, or any separation, that a child always needs their mom and dad. And I love the idea of being here today, of being an American citizen. I think is the best gift that my mom gave me. But during that time, it did hurt. When I met my mom, I was like 7.5. And I think maybe they thought it was best not to tell me that they were gonna, that it was time for me to be with my mom now. And that my grandma was basically gonna stay in El Salvador. And when I left, they didn't tell me. I didn't.
How was that day? Can you take us step by step a little bit? Or how was
it? Was just like, you're gonna go on a trip. You're gonna go on an outing. And I remember my grandma being by the door and everybody waving. And I didn't know that it was gonna be, the last time that I saw them for like 10 years. Because I went back until like 10 years later, And
what was your last image of your grandma?
Standing in front of our home, waving. And I was just like, bye, adios, and it wasn't like, a hug or like, I'm not gonna see you for, I don't know, so many years, they did not explain. And I think that that's important, that's traumatizing for a child. And thank God this was my natural mom. But what about if they, like nowadays with so many children that are being left alone in such a long journey, from Central America, from South America, from many countries. Those children don't even have a really good caretaker. I had my mom, and it was still hard. And I don't wish that on any kid.
So you got in the car with your mom? It was only her?
It was my stepfather. My stepfather. I came here legally because my stepfather was a citizen. So he was able to petition, when he got married with my mom, and then he was able to petition me. So I came, like President Trump said, through the big door. It was a blessing because, once I got to the border, the Border Patrol was waiting for us. We went in there, we took a picture, I got my green card, and I was a little scared because, I'm like, why am I here? Why is the policeman here? Why is it it was not a police, it was an immigration officer. But as a child, you were thinking, what's going on? And
You see just uniform.
yeah, yeah. And, you know, they're not explaining in detail what's happening. So I remember getting in front of the camera and I'm looking like, don't leave me, you know? And so for years, my green card, it was a picture of a little girl kind of like looking sideways. And I would always laugh at it and remember that, you know, it was a little girl that was scared. And after we got here to the United States, my stepfather was dying. He was basically dying of cancer. So, you know, it was difficult because I didn't have my abuela anymore. And I was everything to my abuela. You know, she called me Nini. You know, so I really missed her. And my mom has to struggle with cancer, and you know, and taking care of my stepfather that was coming in and out of the hospital, and he died maybe like I would say 7 months after that, and it was difficult. And you know, my mom raised us as a single mom, and we moved around a lot. So at that time, back in the late 80s, they did not have the ESL. I grew up in, you know, in schools near South Central. We moved around a lot. I grew up in Mid-City. So it took like about 2 years for me to pick up English. I mean, I still speak it with an accent because at home it was only Spanish, and at school is where I had to pick up. But again, there was no ESL. It was swim or sink to learn English. And I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to tell parents out there is like, don't leave your kids. Just don't leave them. You know, you lose the bonding. I have 3 children, and I've been with them from day one. And you need the bonding, you know, with the child. And I felt like for many years, my mom and I did not have the bonding. We struggled in our relationship a lot. And it was through knowing Jesus Christ and
To your faith.
through faith that we were able to connect more. But, you know, for my mom, it was like struggling, you know, as a single parent. And she was young, you know, she didn't know how to drive. So when my stepfather died, we had a car, but she couldn't drive it. So
interesting. How was that?
So she's like, we're going to the store to pick up our groceries, and we would take the bus. I mean, it was pretty hard. I was used to it because, you know, in El Salvador I didn't have a car, so I always walked. But my sister did have a hard time, you know, and my mom, you know, because after being able to go to the store or do her errands, now she can't. So one day she got very upset and she says, this is it. I'm just going to go ahead and get the car and learn to drive. Girls, get in the car. And one of my cousins said, hey, wait for me. I'm going to go with you. And she taught herself like very quickly. And then, you know, my mom is a very strong, you know, independent woman. So I admire her for doing everything that she did. But I would still not, you know, leave a child. You know, I still think that, I don't know if it was really necessary.
What are the situations that you've encountered? People coming from El Salvador to the United States?
People leaving their children it's it's okay. It became kind of like a I would say like a customary, or like it's okay. You know, it's a pattern. It's a way of life. We want the best for the children, so we're gonna have to do this. And I don't think so. You know, I really don't. I think, you know, for me it's more important if you can have children, don't have them yet. Get yourself situated and then have children. But, you know, it's kind of like the family is kind of distorted. And I think that we need more fathers, similar to the, you know, Black community. You know, fathers are absent, and the moms decide, oh, we're going to venture out and then leave their kids. And I think we're breaking the family, and I don't think that's the right thing to do.
And it's not safe as well, right? Even for the parents, or if they come individually. Did something happen with your mom, or
Yeah,
because it's very typical, isn't it?
I have stories like my mom said that, you know, I think she was like 21 or 22 when she came, and my mom was very, very pretty girl, and they told her that if she did not fit on the back of the Volkswagen that night, you know, I guess they were going to put her under the back seat. If she did not make herself fit there that night, she was going to sleep with the coyote. Basically, the coyote was going to rape her. She was next on line, you know, to if she did not fit in the back seat of the car. And then I have an aunt, and the same thing happened to her. And this was a coyote that the family, it was like the family friend who became a coyote all of a sudden. And then he's like charging. And then my aunt, he also wanted to sexually assault her. And then I have a cousin, like a second cousin, and he came and he was never found. He was basically lost in the journey.
What was his name?
Fito. His name was Fito, and he was somebody that I've only met a couple of times because we lived in another city, but Fito was always generous, and he would bring me grapes, or one time he brought me a Big Mac. And I was like, what is a Big Mac? I thought he was so kind, you know, to bring me a Big Mac. I mean, it must have been very costly to buy me a Big Mac from San Salvador. And he took the bus, which probably took him like an hour and a half or more, and showed up with a Big Mac. So I will always remember Fito for his kindness, even though I didn't get to really
How
know
old
him.
was he?
I think he must have been like under 18 years of age. And I remember they're saying Fito is coming, and then Fito never showed up. And we don't know if he got killed. We don't know if he, I don't know, maybe decided to stop in Mexico. But I mean, by this time, his mom or sister would have known, and we never found out what happened to Fito. Then I had a childhood friend who also the parents, the mom sent him here, and he went to school with me, and he ended up killing himself. And he was older than he was, but back in the day, I don't know if it's the same now, you can get a birth certificate very easily. I think in any country, in any Central or South America, or a lot of those countries, you can pay, or you can just lie. And that's another concern, because a lot of these kids are coming through the border, and they're coming with people that might be lying about their age, and a lot of those men or even women might end up in the children area, saying that they're underage, but they're not. And those kids can get sexually assaulted, they can get hurt. And we're not talking about that. We really need to protect the children. And I don't think that any parent should be sending their kid alone in such a stressful journey.
Do you know how long is the traveling from El Salvador? And if they go, like walking or whatever they use?
I would say that it probably takes months, because if you're like walking or in foot, I mean, I could only imagine, and then you're also crossing borders. I mean, you have to cross, the border from Guatemala, borders in Mexico. So it is very traumatizing. And also a lot of the Mexican authorities, they ask for mordidas, like a cut. Give me some money and I'll let you go through. So it's costly. So I believe that now it's like probably $10,000 to probably cross all those borders. And if you're coming from China, or if you're coming from any other countries that are further away, it's more costly. So it's a big business, and a dangerous one, for the children, especially with the child sex trafficking. And we know that right now with what is happening with the Maxwell case, that sex trafficking happens in the highest levels, in the middle levels, and in the lowest levels. So imagine what happens in the borders to so many kids.
So it's very typical in El Salvador to have the children either left behind, or they go by themselves, or the parents, one or two, leave the child or leave the family unit. It's very typical, like, to have broken families in El Salvador.
I think it's something that became very popular, and unfortunately, that is breaking our the traditional family. That has it became a way of life, back in the 80s, I would say more, in 90s, to leave the child behind and come here and kind of settle yourself, and then you go get you go get the children. I believe that's how the DACA, children arose, because so many of the parents, once they come here, their lives gets a little better, they have more money, and they go get the child, and now we have the DACA problem because of that. Now, in the last years or so, I think a lot of the coyotes or the people in front of many organizations, they probably know the laws of the United States, and they know that if you bring a child, then it's easier to come here, or to get or to get asylum, or to petition, because you have a child. So they find the cracks in our system, and they're like, oh, well, maybe we can bring children with us, and that opens up possibilities to get into the country faster. So I think of this new trend of letting the kids come alone has been, I would say, maybe in the last 10 years.
It's not good for the children.
No,
I
it's
guess there's a lot that could go missing. There's a lot of loopholes there.
exactly. So I think they know the loopholes. I mean, there's a lot of kids that they tell them, oh, say that he's your dad or she's your mom, and it's not real. So we need to investigate what is happening to the parents of these kids.
And it's even hard to do that because the documents could be altered, how you said, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Yes.
it's not easy.
Yes.
So it's good that you're coming here to talk about this, especially from the El Salvador community. What do you say to your children, or the young Salvadorians too? What can you say to them?
Well, I say to the ones that are here, that love your country. This is our country. The moment that we step foot in the United States, this is our country, and we should love the United States. I mean, I am so grateful to my mother and my stepfather who petitioned me. They gave me the greatest gift, to be here. I love the United States, and I hope that every child that comes here learns to love our country, because this is our country. So we have the best opportunity. Once you get here, you have the best opportunity. Free schooling that can turn to getting a degree. I mean, I got a degree from Cal State, Long Beach, Go Beach. So I know it can be done.
Is that where you learned to be an event organizer? Was it in school?
Yes, I always love giving back. I think it's important to give back. I'm always telling my kids, you got to give back. You got to be, grateful for what we have. And I started volunteering, and I started working in organizations at Cal State Long Beach. I was the president of the Financial Management Association, and I also did corporate fundraising for the Hispanic Business Association. And we would raise money for the club. We would raise money for scholarships. So I would always, do fundraising, and I loved it. And I also did events, for the business program. And I enjoy connecting people and bringing people together. And I also am very proud of having raised money for President Trump. That is the most money that I ever fundraised, $117,000 for re-electing President Trump. If he's watching me, please let him know that. I'm excited. I'm very proud of that because.
Well, not only him, anybody who wants to get any fundraiser to get hundreds of thousands of dollars, they could look you up.
Well, but the funny, I say the most special thing that I would like President Trump to know about this is that these are hardworking people. These are just people that maybe donated for the first time. You know what I mean? So it's special because it's your ordinary person, a hardworking person that just loves this country and they want to keep it safe. They want to make sure that we keep the American dream alive, and they are the American dream, and they are giving back, and first-time donors. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe that so many people are willing to, like when he came to Newport Beach, a lot of the people that I contacted and said, he's coming, and they're like, oh, we want to buy a ticket. And that's when I help collect the most donations for him.
Very good. That's very good. Well, thank you so much, Evelyn, for coming here and bringing this great topic to the viewers.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to, everyone accepting this message, that we need, the most important thing, we need to protect our children. We need to protect the traditional family. Let's stay together because our children are only children for a very short period.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. We have new interviews every week. Thanks for watching and Merry Christmas.